Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you're all having a great day and I am having an absolutely superb day. This may be the best day of my Minecraft life, ladies and gentlemen, because you joined me just mere seconds after I ended recording the last episode, and I did a little bit of trading with this guy, both to get the regeneration effect and to unlock some more of his trades. So not only does this guy have a 10 emerald mending trade, but when we got to unlock some of his other stuff, he has a 10 emerald infinity trade, which means we can get infinity or mending on one of these bows. Infinity and mending are actually incompatible. You cannot have both of them on a single bow unless you're modifying the game in some way using a data pack and so forth. So it's actually quite an interesting choice. I think I will probably go with infinity because it is entirely possible that we could just make another bow very easily. We don't really need mending. We can repair bows even by combining them, so it's not as important as having infinity and being able to basically fire an infinite number of arrows with just one arrow or as many as you have in your inventory. This guy may yet have even better trades awaiting for us, although it's hard to imagine better trades than this at this point, so I'm going to try trading some bookshelves with him as well and see what he unlocks for the last couple of trades in his little repertoire here. Let's see, we have 10, we have 24 for Curse of Vanishing. Well, that's probably not one I will spend too much time with, but ladies and gents, this guy is absolutely superb. And keep those name suggestions coming, because like I said, I am recording this immediately after I finished recording the last episode, so I haven't had a chance to upload the previous video and see all of your comments, all of your name suggestions, and stuff like that. But it would be really great to get a few suggestions for this guy. He is my new favorite person in all of Minecraft. You know what, I might actually swap this block here out for a bookshelf so he can have something to read. Today we are starting off in the spider spawner, which I promise you is going to be finished by the end of this video. In fact, we're probably going to make this only our first of 2 redstone projects for today because I have another thing in mind. Remember the sugarcane farm that we took down so we could make this giant wheat field? Yeah, now it turns out I have 2 librarians who I want to trade paper with in my house, and not a great deal of sugarcane left from the reserves we had before we took that sugarcane farm down. So today we are going to build it back up bigger and better than before. But before we do that, I figured, seeing as I promised I would do the spider spawner, I would get that done first. Now, one of the things I want to do for this, aside from acquire a bunch of black concrete, which, I've already done off camera because I figured that was something you already knew how to do, we want to add a little bit of redstone lighting in here just so we can take these torches out and temporarily disable, or as good as disable, the spider spawner when we don't want to use it. I'm probably just going to put one redstone lamp in there and have that controllable by a redstone wire linked up to the room where we've got the collection mechanism outputting to, where we've got the chest down there in the wall where we can grab the spider string anytime we like. A single redstone lamp on there will not light up this area completely, so spiders will probably still spawn occasionally if we've got that lamp turned off, but there are a couple of reasons that I only really want to use one redstone lamp. First of all, because it's a spawner, so anytime we are further than 16 blocks away from this, it's not going to be spawning anything anyway. Secondly, because putting a light source too close to these magma blocks actually reduces our chances of having anything spawn in here to begin with, because the light levels of these magma blocks are dependent on lights nearby, and if you take out the torches, these magma blocks will actually retain the light level, at least until you go away, unload these chunks, and then come back, or if you replace the floor completely. It's an odd property of magma blocks, which I didn't want to get into in the spider spawner episode, because I didn't want to overcomplicate things, but if you put a torch nearby, then they keep that light level until you unload the chunk that they're in and then come back. So I think we'll probably end up just putting one redstone lamp there to limit the amount of light that's reaching these magma blocks, and then we'll make it easier to have stuff spawning in here the rest of the time when the lights are turned off. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Anyway, because I'm gonna do it now. So let's go and grab a redstone lamp. In fact, I don't know if we've crafted redstone lamps yet this series. They're a really nice little light source that you can control using redstone current, which means you can turn them on and off, making them ideal for stuff like spawners where you don't want the lights on 100% of the time. So we've already got some redstone in here, and I think the glowstone, yes, was in here. Fantastic. So we'll take some redstone out here. We'll break it back down into redstone dust. We won't need this much, but we'll need a little bit. They're crafted like this, with the redstone around all 4 sides like so, and the glowstone in the middle. And so we're going to make 12 redstone lamps, even even though we're only going to need one, because chances are we will want some of these in future. I'm going to leave one in my inventory, put the rest in here. I've already got a lever on me here, and that should be just about everything we need, although I'm going to bring a couple of signs with me, because chances are I will forget, in the fullness of time, which of these levers in the control room does what. There's one that's already activating the minecart in there. We want the other one to activate the lights. We want to make sure we don't get confused between the two. As you can see, even when we've already got all of these torches here, a spider has somehow still managed to spawn. So this redstone lamp isn't going to be a complete solution for the lighting in here, but it's at least going to limit the amount of spider spawns that happen to a manageable amount. The kind of thing that wouldn't be a problem if one of them somehow got out, which they won't be able to do, but just to give us some sort of metric to work from. Okay, so let's have a quick talk about this redstone lamp. Normally, you want redstone dust just leading up to the lamp like so, and a lever powering it like that will turn the lamp on, right? Switch the lever off, lamp goes off, switch the lever on, lamp goes on. The levers can also be directly applied to the redstone lamps, like so you can just switch it on and it stays on permanently with that lever powering it. You can also do stuff like buttons, but those will, of course, only light it for the duration the button is pressed down, and then the button will reset after a while and it will turn off again. Now, here's an interesting property of redstone. It can actually power blocks like this, even if they don't have any kind of function when they are powered. So by activating this redstone dust here with a lever, it's actually going to send power into this block. And a fun property of redstone lamps is that if they are next to any kind of powered block, whether that's like a redstone dust that's powered or a block that is powered like this, the lamp will still turn on, right? So if we take this block out, that lamp's going to turn off. We put the block back in there, the lamp is going to turn on. This is the point at which redstone experts will start tossing around terms like strong and weak power and that kind of stuff. But I am not a redstone expert, and I need to do a little bit more research into exactly what those terms mean before I can discuss it. So maybe somebody helpful can enlighten you guys in the comments if you're curious about how any of the rest of this works. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is build up the roof around here, leaving one stone block on top of the redstone lamp like so. And we're actually going to run a redstone wire down so it rests on top of that block there, and that's going to be where we get the power into the redstone lamp. And then we can leave a trail of redstone dust that goes down through the wall to our control room down there, where the lever will activate the light and turn it on and off. So here we are in the control room for our spider spawner. This is the lever that's going to control the minecart. Oh, looks like a spider is actually dying up there. Get out of here. See if we can... Yep, there we go. It collected it. We got the spider eye and the string coming in. Wonderful stuff. Anyway, this lever here is the one that's going to be turning on and off the redstone lamp. And let's see if we pop a redstone dust down there. See, that signal turns on, and it will go straight up a staircase over here, which is going to lead to the lamp over there in the middle. Now, I do need to make sure the current winds back a little bit, because we want the redstone dust to end up on this stone block here, the one that lands on top of the redstone lamp. And to do that, we've got to make sure it can come up here like this on this staircase. And does that reach the redstone lamp? I think it does. I think the travel distance here for the redstone is 15 blocks, because redstone current cannot be transmitted any further than 15 blocks. If I put some dust on this block here, like so, yes, you can see that one isn't sparkling, which means it isn't powered. And if I press F3, you'll notice on the right-hand side where it says redstone wire under targeted block, you'll say power 0. So we have a power of 1 there, a power of 2 there. As long as it has a power of 1 or more, it will still power the block that it's sitting on, so it will still power the redstone lamp underneath it. That is as good as it needs to be. Now, obviously, there are much more efficient ways of laying out this redstone. I've laid it out in a very strange way, but that is not a problem. The one thing we have to remember is to not cut off the redstone wire here in any way. So if I put a block above that, that's actually going to cut off the redstone wire that is underneath there, and the lamp is not going to be lit. Let me go down here to prove that to you really quick. There we go. You can see over there the lamp is not currently lit, even though the room is pretty well lit because there are still torches. Now, if we take off the block that was above that and make sure that redstone wire isn't cut off anymore, we can pop down here and you will see that the lamp is now lit. In order to prevent mob spawns up here, I'm going to reduce the ceiling so it's 1 wide and try and fill in any extra blocks. But most mobs, I think all mobs actually, will need a 2-block high area to spawn in. I think maybe spiders don't. That's a confusing aspect of it to me, but I think that should be fine at least, and then we can fill in this staircase. Remember, see, there we go. We cut off that redstone wire there, so we don't want that block to go there. We need to probably fill it in sort of one block at a time just to make sure that we're not causing any problems here. And in some areas, we can always just leave a torch. We can light that up. Additionally, you could also use things like stairs or glowstone or non-solid blocks like that. Glass is another one where you can fill the area up with a block that is not going to cut off the redstone because it isn't a full block. Now, that should be fine as it is right there, and then I can still put a full block down on top of this chisel stone like so and finish off the wall there, and that should be the lamp lit in there still. Yes, fantastic. And if I switch this off, the lamp in there turns off. So now we can go in and remove all of the torches that are in there, and we should be able to just tidy up this little room here and make it into a neat little control room. Okay, moment of truth. Let's take out all of these torches, and you'll notice that the walls do get a little bit darker. Like I said, we are still going to get a little bit less light in here than we had before, and as you can see, the magma blocks here have retained that 8 block light, so it's not actually going to prevent spiders from spawning if it's 8 block light, because that's the area around the spawner is actually still going to be 7 and below. So that's not too bad, and now we have a light that will switch on and off the spawner anytime we want it to. And there you go, with the light off now, it's working pretty well. Good stuff. All right, then the next thing to do is just to finish decorating this room, seal off the spider spawner, and I think we should all be done here. And there we go. That is everything aside from that block up there and the magma blocks replaced with black concrete. Not too bad. And yes, as you can see, the spiders are still spawning in the corners of the room, but at a manageable rate. Like I said, I've only been attacked by them once or twice while I've been building this, and with those last 3 concrete blocks, we are done with this room. Now to do the control room. The control room is going to be a little bit fancier because we want it to be nice for us. We want to be able to relax here in style. I think this will do for now. Simple but effective. We've got the switch on the right-hand side controlling the minecart. We've got the switch on the left-hand side turning the light on and off, and if you notice the red sparkly thing on there, shows that it's emitting redstone power, which means that the light is on. We can flip that off, and then spiders will start to spawn inside the chamber itself. So that's not looking too bad so far. I'm going to put signs up on here just to make sure that I know which switch is which if I come back to this after a long period of time and I can't remember how everything works. This is the minecart collection system, and this is the light switch, and down means the light is on. Perfect. I think that's going to work out pretty well, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff in here that I threw in there whilst I was making room in my inventory for all of the blocks from the cave walls, but I think we can probably pick up a little bit of this, and as you can hear, the last of the spiders are dying in the other room. I also managed to get a couple of spider jockeys to spawn, which I will try and get on camera at some point in future, but spider jockeys are skeletons riding spiders, hence why there are bones and arrows in here in addition to all of the spider string. With the spider spawner taken care of, the next thing I want to do is build a decent-sized sugarcane farm, and we're probably actually going to build it up here on the hill. I had thought about building a castle over here, but then in the grand scheme of things, that didn't really make a great deal of sense the more I thought about it, because I don't think a castle would be this close to the farmland and stuff. I feel like it would probably be more over there where there's a large kind of flat plains area, maybe even up on one of the hills in that area with a town below it. But over here, it kind of felt a little bit nothingy, a little bit too secluded. So I figured we'd probably end up building a castle elsewhere, probably over in that direction. So instead, I want to make this gravel hills over here my industrial area, not least because it means I can skim off a bunch of the gravel from the top here, and that will allow us to make concrete and all kinds of other cool stuff. There's a huge patch of gravelly mountains around here, and gravelly mountains are basically one of the best places to get gravel. It's in the name, but more importantly, it doesn't involve having to go deep sea diving for gravel and end up with it all floating to the surface in a big mess. So I think we're going to build our sugarcane farm up there today. Now, the way we're going to do this is on a much bigger scale than what we had before, so I'm going to need quite a lot of cobblestone. Luckily, I have a whole lot of it in this here shulker box from where we've been doing a ton of branch mining without the silk touch pickaxe before we had that all squared away. I also need a lot of iron, and we'll probably need some powered rails and stuff as well, but I'm going to craft a few other things first. Let's break out a ton of redstone dust. Let's get some of the nether quartz I've gathered here and there when I wanted some experience, and let's craft ourselves, for a start, a bunch of observers. I think a stack will probably do for now, and if we've got a stack of observers, we also need a stack of pistons. So I'm going to grab some spruce wood out of here, because spruce wood is probably the one it's easiest to get hold of at this stage. And let's see how many pistons we can make. 16 with the cobblestone that we've got. Let's grab a little bit more out of here, and we'll probably need a touch more iron for this as well. 46 plus the 10 in there, 56. We probably want to have as many pistons as we have observers for this project, so let's grab a few more iron ingots, and let's make enough pistons to, yeah, there we go, a stack and 10. That's actually perfect. We'll put the 10 pistons back in there. We'll go with a stack of 64 pistons, 64 observers. We'll need the sugarcane. Okay, we only have a couple left. Well, thankfully, I've still been growing a little patch of that out there, so we should be able to get enough to at least get the farm started. Outside of that, we will need some building blocks, so I figure some andesite and polished andesite wouldn't be a bad idea either. Let me put this coal ore away in the chest down here. I've been keeping some of the coal ore down there so we can fortune it later. If we want some levels, that'd be good to get as well. We're going to need a lot of redstone, so we'll probably bring another 16 blocks or so. Oh, wrong shulker box. There we go. Let's bring these guys with us. And I think maybe for the frame, we will go with dark oak logs as well. So we might build a few more of those in there. We'll need plenty of hoppers for this as well, so I'm going to grab some of those from the chests I have here, convert some of this gold into a stack or so of powered rail, and let's go with 8 minecarts as well, and a stack of sand on which we can grow the sugarcane. Okay, I think that should be enough to get us started. Let's find a decent patch out here and build a sugarcane farm. I think we might actually build it up there. Up here across the river, yeah, that seems like a good place for it. It's going to be nice and visible from over there in the wheat field, kind of the same way that the windmill is right now, though. So it's going to be at a distance, but still a decently visible structure. And we're going to make it kind of in tune with the surroundings. We're going to try and do something a little bit more medieval looking with it for the outside, but the inside is going to be a little bit more high-tech than the outside might at first appear. My one regret right now is that I don't have a silk touch shovel, because some of this gravel is going to turn to flint, and I really don't want the flint, but I really do want the gravel. In fact, you know what? No, that's not acceptable. Having 8 flint at this point when I've just got an infinity villager and I won't need to craft arrows anymore, what am I going to do, make 8 more flint and steels? No, I don't think so. I'm going to go and get a silk touch shovel, guys. I will be right back. Okay, so I have done a whole lot of digging, and I don't know if this looks super different to you guys. It doesn't really to me, but maybe just because I've been kind of wearing it down layer by layer, it doesn't really look all that different from over there. I don't think I've really harmed the natural landscape all that much. What I do have is basically a double chest full of gravel, so that's going to be really useful. I'm going to use that for a whole bunch of stuff, and yes, I got myself a silk touch diamond shovel and have already halfway worn it out with the amount of stuff that I've been digging up here. Yeah, the shovel took a little while to get hold of, and I ended up going to the end and getting a bunch of ender pearls as well, so I have like a shulker box basically full of ender pearls now. I was just luring endermen out to a little kind of too high section that I'd built just to kind of shield myself from their attacks, and I was just swiping at them, looking at a bunch, swiping at some more. It's a pretty easy way of farming experience if you feel like going all the way to the end and you haven't built an enderman killer yet. So the next stage of this is going to be building up the sugarcane farm, and I'm very excited about this. It's probably going to be quite big, or at least it is once I've been able to grow a little bit more sugarcane. In fact, it's been long enough now with the enchanting session that I should go over there and see if any more has grown. But we're going to start it over here. And the main thing about this farm is that I kind of want it to be loaded in anytime I'm at the farmhouse over there. So anytime I'm kind of pottering around this area, doing bits and pieces of work, I want to build a bridge that goes up to this place as well from over there. So we're going to do that, make that a project. But anytime I'm working around here, I want this farm to be operational. So it's up to you where you want to build your sugarcane farm, depending on what you want to do with an area, what you've got like planned for projects and so forth. But it's usually a good idea if you want farms to operate constantly to build them relatively close to your house. So anyway, with these supplies, we're going to build up a bit of a sugarcane farm, and we need to kind of work on a design for this. The main thing that's going to be different about this sugarcane farm compared to the last one is we're going to use the same minecart collection mechanism that we used over at the string farm. So the powered rails down here are going to be permanently on, and these are going to collect sugarcane that falls onto the sand that the sugarcane is growing out of, because that is the main problem with the sugarcane farm I built over there, aside from the size of it, was that when the pistons pushed it off, that it wasn't all going into the water stream that, if you remember, was running alongside. Let me actually build one as a kind of temporary example over here, because we're going to need to have a water stream here anyway, so I might as well. Let's take some oak wood. Let's kind of build that up using planks as an example here. So we've got a water stream through here, like so. And I'll get some sand for a second so I can demonstrate this again. Because it's been a little while since the sugarcane farm episode. Good to revise this stuff. Got a water stream going down there. We can put sugarcane along here, and then it's going to be, when it grows up to a certain height, it's going to be pushed, cut off by pistons, and go into that water stream to be pushed along to a collection hopper. Except sometimes it doesn't work like that, because the direction that item entities move when they get pushed by a piston like that is sort of random, and sometimes it will just end up sitting there on the sand and not going anywhere. What we can do with the minecart hoppers, which we couldn't do before, is have the sand itself actually be the collection mechanism. The hoppers underneath it can drag the items through the sand and collect them in a hopper, basically at the end of this row of sand here, and we don't have to worry about including the water in it as a collection mechanism. However, we do need to include the water as a mechanism to help the sugarcane grow, because sugarcane can't grow without water. And you'll notice once I took the water away, it didn't actually do anything, but once the blocks updated, which they would if they grew, the entire farm would break. So we do have to incorporate water in here somewhere. One of the drawbacks to that is we have to basically place water more or less right next to where we place minecart rail, and as you know, the two don't mix, so it's important to get some isolation between the two. We're going to start, I'd say, actually around here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're going to build these up in rows of 8, because that's how far a single bucket of water will kind of travel. And it doesn't need to be 8 blocks long. I think the maximum you'd probably want to go would be around, I don't know, maybe 13 or 14, somewhere that's around the maximum distance redstone current can travel, so that any one of the observers we're going to be using could trigger the pistons to push all of the sugarcane off. But I think we're going to do this in modules of 8 just because it's nice and easy. Now we're going to float sand over the top of it like that, which means the water is going to be flowing along here. So I think what we'll do is place some of the oak planks here like so. We'll create a kind of trench for the water like this. We're going to build this up at the back with some of the andesite and the dark oak logs, which I've got here. I think I might farm a little bit more dark oak and use the logs instead of the planks for that. But yeah, we'll build this up with andesite like so, just along the outside. We might mix in some of the polished andesite later. This is where our water stream is going to be running, and that's going to allow us to plant sugarcane on there. We'll probably build the pistons and everything on top of the water, so it actually conceals the water completely inside of here, allowing the sugarcane to just sit here like so. And then we'll put a row of polished andesite here behind the sugarcane, and then we'll put the pistons on top of that. We'll put the observers on top of the pistons, and then we'll put the dark oak logs along the back like so, drop off the edge there. And then the last thing we need to do with this is fill in the redstone dust along the back. Now, unlike the sugarcane farm we made before, each one of the pieces of sugarcane has an observer detecting when it grows this high, and it's going to trigger every single piston thanks to this row of redstone dust. And we're going to build a bunch of different modules like this, and they'll all be collected using a minecart with a hopper, which we're going to place down here and activate this powered rail down here and have everything collected, let's say, there. So it's going to come to rest around there. I've come back to the house to grab the bed and any regular minecart rail we had, because I will need that for this next trick. So I just got a very good look at what happens when we mess with water next to powered rail. This entire thing just kind of fell apart on me, but that's because I took out the rail that was holding this sand up, and we want to replace that with a single regular rail to isolate this powered rail from this row of powered rail here. And that means we can activate this using a lever, which I should be able to craft if I've got some cobblestone on me. Very good. I guess we'll turn those into sticks, and we'll make a few levers. We'll probably need a few more of those, and I'm just going to activate it from below with a lever like this. It's fairly straightforward, just to pop a lever down there and let it sit under there for eternity. I think that will probably do. The main reason here is that we want the minecart with a hopper to reach the end here with all of the power. It's got hit this block, return, and then come to rest on this rail here, because that rail is going to have a hopper underneath it. Oh, there we go. Another another sand bites the dust. We're going to pop the hopper under here, if I can grab another hopper from the shulker box, which I've left around here. And that's what's going to deliver the sugarcane into a chest, which we'll place over here. And so the minecart can come to rest on this powered rail and stop there, but then still leave when we want it to leave. We're actually going to power it using the same redstone pulse that is emitted from these observers. So what we need to do is find a way of getting the redstone current from up here to down where this powered rail is. And a little bit of time later, this is the finished product. Now, I skipped ahead a couple of steps there, but it's mainly because some guys were coming to take down the scaffolding that's been around my house while my roof is being redone. And so, yeah, I kind of wanted to get this out of the way without having to worry about the noise from that. But I'll explain how this works. So we've already got the signal going along the top here. Let me grab some andesite and pillar up. We've got the signal going across the top here, activated by any of these observers. That runs into a 9th and a 10th observer on this side, which actually, if they're placed in this orientation, if the arrows there are facing downwards, that's going to transmit the signal downwards to this piece of redstone dust, which in turn is going to power this block. Now, around the corner here, we have a redstone repeater, which I haven't actually crafted in this series before. They are 3 stone, 2 redstone torches, and a single redstone dust in a 3x3 crafting table. I'll show you that recipe a little bit later on. But the thing you need to know about redstone repeaters is that they are responsible for boosting or delaying a redstone signal. Say, for example, I don't have any redstone dust on me, so this is going to be a pretty bad example. Let's see. Grab some of that. Do we have... Yeah, we've got levers here. Okay, good. So say, for example, you have a long line of redstone dust. We'll turn the lever on at this end, and as you can see, the power diminishes as you go further along the line. It starts off nice and bright here, and if we turn on the F3 screen, you'll see the power is at 15, and then along here, it gets to power 8. Say you need, for whatever reason, a signal of 15, or say the redstone wire goes all the way until you run out with power 1, and then it switches to 0, but you need the wire to travel for a longer distance. You add in a redstone repeater, which should light up like so when it is being powered, and then the signal comes out at the maximum strength on the opposite side. So that is how a redstone repeater works. Now, the other thing a redstone repeater can do, as I said, is delay a signal. And by right-clicking on this, we can extend the length of time that the signal will be delayed. So if I turn this off now, and all of this redstone dust resets, watch what happens to the second line of redstone dust now that I've switched this repeater so it is at the maximum level of delay, which is 4 ticks of delay. See, it takes a second. It's not super long, but it takes a second for this other line of dust to light up. Now, if I were to add in a couple of other repeaters at maximum delay, you would see the difference a lot more clearly. There you go. That took almost a full second to switch off. There we go. And yep, that little strip there lights up ever so slightly sooner, and this one takes a little while to light up. So basically, the function of the repeater in this is delaying and slightly extending the signal going into the powered rail here, and that's going to set the minecart off on its travels and allow it to return. Now, if I were to remove the delay from this repeater, the powered rail underneath the minecart is getting such a short redstone pulse that it's unable to leave before the powered rail turns off and slows the minecart down again, forcing it to stop. So if I if I don't have this on full delay, it's actually only going to get to about there. It's not going to be able to travel the full length of this rail and back again. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense to you. If not, you can just copy this design and it will work fine, or there'll probably be other sugarcane farm designs out there on YouTube that you can follow. The last step, of course, is to cover the front of this machine with glass to make sure that the sugarcane here doesn't actually pop out of the machine itself. So if I pillar up here, I'll be able to show you the machine in action, and hopefully we'll be able to see the minecart moving as well. If I hop up here and then add in 2 sugarcane to the top there, we'll add the last one in front of this observer, pop that there, and the minecart travels to one side and then the other, comes to rest on the opposite side. You'll notice the sugarcane didn't pop out because we had the wall of glass blocks here, and we get 2 sugarcane there in the chest. So that works fantastically well. And I've started to design it a little bit, so we've got some andesite and dark oak logs in here, and I'm probably going to put a crafting table on the end here, like so. Redstone components like dust and repeaters are also something that will be displaced by flowing water, so we do need to make sure that they are away from the water itself. And I want to repeat this design over and over again in this area. We're probably going to stack a few of them up as well. The problem with that is going to be transporting the items down to the collection chests here. There's a hopper, by the way, going underneath this log here that's connected to the hopper next to it and is transporting all the items the minecart collects into this chest here. So that's going straight under the log. It's not affected by the fact that it has a log on the top of it, and the sugarcane output should all end up in there. But in order to have all of the sugarcane go to a single chest, that's going to take a lot of hoppers. It's going to take a lot of kind of wiring up, basically. So I might have individual collection chests for each of these little stations, and then maybe we'll find a way of pushing all of the sugarcane down into the same collection mechanism at a later date. For now, I think it's best to just go ahead and build these things, and for once in this series, I'm going to do this in the form of a time-lapse, because now you know how to build this. It's just a matter of repeating the design over and over again until you have as many of them as you want. So I figured to make it a little bit more interesting, I would show you this sped up a little bit. I think that'll do for today. We've got 6 different modules, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all running to these 3 separate collection chests. And the main reason for keeping the chests separate at this point in time is that over time I expect this to produce a decent amount of sugarcane, especially if we're continuing to work in the area without actually coming back to the farm all that often. And eventually, these chests are going to get very, very full. So just having it all go to a single chest here would probably fill it up quite quickly, whereas if you leave everything in individual chests like this, it's going to take a long time for all 3 of them to fill up. There's 2 modules going to each chest, so they should all fill up at roughly the same rate, and hopefully before long we should get ourselves a nice, tidy amount of sugarcane that we can turn into paper to trade with our librarians, to make fireworks, to fly around with elytra, that kind of stuff. So it's going to be very useful to have a sugarcane farm this early. Quite happy that I made it, and it isn't the prettiest thing in the world yet, but I think we can come up with a pretty neat design to go around the outside. I think the dark oak and andesite look is a good start to that. So we're going to call it there for today, folks. Hope you guys have enjoyed this little redstone project episode. Something a little bit different, something a little bit out of my comfort zone as well, but something I plan to do a lot more of in future. So thank you so much for watching this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. My name has been Pixlriffs. Don't forget to leave a like on the episode if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.